Okay then, year three. What we're going to do now, hopefully, is a little bit of a refresh. You should have started this in school, but if you haven't, don't worry because I'm going to go through it. Okay, we're going to have a look at some equivalent fractions. And you can see here, I've put it in bold to help you guys. Equivalent fractions means fractions that are the same size. So, here's my question, which we're going to talk about together. If I offered you half a chocolate bar, we'll call that one A. So if I offered you half of A or 5/10 of B, and I wanted you to choose the most, which would you choose? So you can choose a half from bar A or 5/10 from bar B. So have a little think. And while you're having a little think, I'm going to colour in half of bar A. You can see I've already split it into two to make it easier for myself. And then 5/10. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5. Okay, so if I offered you half of A or 5/10 of B, which would you choose? Right. Exactly. It doesn't matter because they're both the same size. Okay, so if I write it here, 1/2 and 5/10 are the same. Now, hopefully, you've been able to see that on a half, 1 is half of 2. And on the one underneath, 5, which I'm going over now, is half of 10. Okay, that's how I know that both of those fractions are a half. So what I've asked you to do now, I've said working out equivalent fractions and identifying fractions in general. That's what you're going to be doing. So you can see in this box here, I've written the fraction 1/2. So what I've said is, if we imagine it like a bar of chocolate, you've eaten half of it. Okay? What I want you to do now is identify out of those 2, 4, 6, 7 fractions around the outside, which 3 of those are equivalent to a half. And the trick obviously is to look at the top number, okay, of the fraction, and if it is exactly half of the bottom number, then the fraction also is a half. Okay, so I'm going to give you 10 seconds now to have a look at those, and if you want to write them down, you can, or just identify them. So try and find the 3 fractions which are also a half. Okay, so going round, if we start up here, 8/16, we say that 8/16. Is 8 half of 16? Yes, it is. So that fraction is equivalent to a half. 1/3, well, 1 isn't half of 3. 50/100, yep, 50 is half of 100, so that's equivalent to a half. 6/11, no. 12/20, no, because 12 isn't half of 20. 100/300, no. And the last one, 10/20 or 10/20. Well, again, 10 is half of 20, so that is a half. So if your teacher said to you which of the fractions around the outside are also a half, they are those ones. That should make sense. Now, your task for today is something which probably, hopefully, will take you no more than 90 seconds. So I've been really kind to you today. So what I've said is, what fraction of each shape is shaded? Okay, so you've got 4 shapes there, and you just need to write down the fraction that's shaded. So you're going to have a fraction line to separate the number that's shaded, which goes on the top, and then the number underneath is telling me how many fractions there are, or how many pieces there are altogether. Okay, so pause now, and then press play when you're ready to go through the answers. Okay, brilliant. Now, like I said, that really shouldn't have taken you long. Okay, so hopefully you've got all the right answers. So for A, 3 of the fractions are shaded, and altogether there are 6 fractions. If we look at B, 3 are shaded again, but this time there's only 4 pieces. C, I've got 4 pieces are shaded in, and there's 12 pieces altogether, so I would say that as 4/12. And then this last one, I tried to confuse you by jumbling them up. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces are shaded, and how many pieces have I got altogether? I've got 8 pieces. Now, looking at those, which 2 of those fractions are equivalent to a half? A and D, because 3 is half of 6 on A, and on D, 4 is half of 8. Okay, so what you've done there, nope, there's nothing else. I've been really kind to you. What you've done there is you've identified fractions, and then you've also looked at and found equivalents. So well done. I really, really hope and think you should have got all those all right, okay? Again, if you didn't, don't worry. We're going to go through some more tomorrow.